Hello and welcome to Brodual. Today we have Odin, the Magic Overhaul. Coming from the creator of many of our favourite mods, including Ordinator, Growl and Triumvirate, we now have Odin. The aim of the mod is to overhaul magic without straying too far from what we'd typically expect from an Elder Scrolls game. It's part of the author's Vanilla Plus set of mods that overhaul certain parts of the game while staying true to what was originally offered. To put it simply, it aims to be like Vanilla, but better. So Odin is ultimately what the author feels like magic should have been. It keeps most vanilla spells in place, choosing not to remove them but to instead expand on them with dozens of new spells per school. These spells stay true to each school's original theme, and they're heavily inspired by magic seen in previous Elder Scrolls games. It also fully fleshes out scrolls and staves by making them just as strong as their spell counterparts. And then finally it tweaks, balances and integrates all of the new content into the game as if it always belonged. But before we get into it, we want to thank Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. As we spend more of our time online, we've got to protect ourselves in the best way possible. And the best way to do that is Surfshark VPN. By hiding your IP address, encrypting your data and blocking trackers, Surfshark will keep you completely anonymous online. But for us, its killer feature is how it gets past those pesky geo-blockers. With the click of a button and just a few seconds, you can gain access to all kinds of content. Whether it's getting past YouTube's blockers, or even better, unlocking thousands of titles on Netflix. Surfshark supports the top 15 Netflix libraries by size, including the US, UK and Japan. Surfshark also comes with an incredibly useful whitelisting feature. This lets you have full control over which apps and websites are protected by the VPN. This way you get the absolute best of both worlds, gaining the positives of having a direct connection while staying protected by Surfshark at the same time. And thanks to our partnership, you can get a whopping 83% off your subscription today using our code BRODUAL at checkout. They even offer a full 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's absolutely risk-free. Get it today using the link down below. Jumping back into the mod, we'll start with Alteration. Alteration magic is in essence the manipulation of the physical world. In practice, the spells offer defensive buffs, some utility and then a tiny bit of disable at the end. So Odin takes those and runs with it. Alteration now comes with a much wider range of utility. This can be seen in spells that manipulate your body, helping you run further, swim faster and fall softer, negating fall damage. Gonar's Greed will let you instantly loot everything from bodies in a nearby radius. An Alter Body will even allow you to change your physical appearance wherever you are in the world. An expert Alteration Mage will go a step further, giving you the ability to create a deep storage, an infinite underground storage space that can be accessed anywhere outdoors. Even more utility can be found in Fabricate Object, a spell that lets you instantly create crafting stations, beds, chairs and even bridges instantly. For your defense, you're no longer limited to just mage armor. You can now boost your resistances too. And for every buff for yourself, there's a similar debuffing spell for your enemies. If that's still not enough, you can disable them with a variety of new spells. Throw down a barrier of webs on the ground, slowing the movement and attack speed of anyone caught in it. Or in dire situations, you can paralyze a whole group of enemies at once. A Master Alteration Mage still isn't much in direct battle, but they live a life of comfort like no other mage. In the endgame, you'll be summoning teleportation anchors around the world, allowing you to instantly jump between huge distances. And thanks to the new Control Weather spell, wherever you decide to travel, you can bring the sun along with you. Up next is Conjuration. Inside the new spells, you'll find a general expansion of what's offered in Vanilla. This includes a wide variety of new summons, from new types of Daedra to new spirit animals for shaman characters. Each one comes with their own unique appearance and set of abilities. The Houndmaster, for example, can summon his own set of dog minions, and the Sanctified Wraith has the ability to dispel enemies and drain their magicka, making them incredibly effective against mages. Odin makes it so your minions, whether summoned or reanimated, now scale alongside your character's level. It also makes reanimation a lot more viable, thanks to massively increasing their summon duration as well as letting you travel between cells. Necromancers can now actually bring their undead minions to the next fight. The spells also now use a soft level cap, meaning they aren't guaranteed to fail if you try casting them on a higher level target. Instead, they'll have a chance to fail, depending on the size level gap. All of these changes, alongside more tweaks, make Conjuration viable throughout an entire playthrough, whether it's through your summons or the army of the undead. Pure summoners can also enjoy a few new concentration-based buffing spells, letting you sit in the back line while providing handy buffs to the damage, armor and resistance of your minions. In the endgame, a Master Conjurer will maintain a diverse set of magical minions, including their new Daedric wolf mount, Kikrim. As you ride on its back, you can watch the weak flee in terror at your very presence. Up next is Destruction. This is usually where a spell mod would go wild. You'd be sending out tornadoes, creating blizzards and lobbing cruel suns at your enemy. But once again, Odin stays true to vanilla. The base set of destruction spells follow a clear theme. You basically get one kind of a spell for each of the three elements. Like how flames, frost and sparks are all essentially the same. Odin offers 7 more of these kind of spell sets, for a total of 21 new spells. They're spread throughout the levels, but there's a particular focus on the mid game, but you'll have a much wider, more useful elemental arsenal. This includes a new spell blade approach to magic, with touch spells that only work when you're up close and personal. There's also new striking spells that imbue magic straight into your power attacks, dealing huge elemental damage. Send a stream of magic along the floor with a new set of ground spells, or instead use a new bloom spell. These ticking time bombs will ignite after a few seconds, dealing a good chunk of damage to anyone near it. And finally, there's also 3 new master spells. These are less flashy than some that you'd find in Arcanum for example, but they still do make you feel like a master of elements. Launch a powerful new Flame Tempest, create an incredibly deadly Black Winter, or unleash your fury with powerful new Lightning Bolts. Whatever kind of elemental mage you are, Odin offers a tempered but diverse set of spells for your arsenal. In vanilla, the School of Illusion is probably the most underwhelming kind of magic. The base spells are interesting, but there's no real way to play as a pure illusionist, and just like Conjuration, the spells fall off in the endgame thanks to the level cap. But with Odin, that fixed level cap no longer exists. You'll still rely on your core spells of Fury, Courage, Calm and Fear, but you'll now have a new set of spells that'll give you a direct way to take on the enemy, without having to rely on the other schools. New spells like Command and Propaganda allow you to take direct control over your targets, making them not just attack things randomly, but making them treat you like an ally, creating a new kind of temporary follower. On top of that, you can make your illusions directly attack your enemy. Early on you can hit single targets, but as you progress you can unleash an entire Shadow Legion upon your enemies. On the other side of illusion magic is a collection of spells that all revolve around stealth and anti-magic. A new spell like Wizard Rend allows you to convert your target's magicka straight into damage, or instead use Purge Magic to break wards, dispel all spells and drain the magicka from a single target. On top of that, you can now get inside the mind of your enemy to find their weakness, allowing your sneak attacks to hit their weak spot, dealing extra damage as well as draining their stamina or magicka. While other spells cause a new type of temporary damage, letting you lower the overall health of an enemy for a short time, perfect for one-hit KOs. Altogether, illusion magic will no longer take on the role of the sidekick. Whether it's as an anti-mage or as a pure illusionist, you'll still rely on those core vanilla spells, but it's the new ones that make those playstyles possible. And finally, we come to the School of Restoration. Odin offers a more fleshed out, offensive side to the school. We see glimpses of it in the official DLC, with a few sun and poison spells, but Odin explores its true potential. There's now a full line of poison magic at your disposal, putting it on par with one of the elements seen in Destruction. This lets you send off various blasts and bolts of poison damage, and you can even use your new Spider Touch to handle enemies that get too close. You can accelerate the decay of a body, causing an explosion of poison damage depending on the corpse's max health, and in the endgame, create a powerful poison nova. On the other side of Restoration, you can still have your reliable heals, wards and buffs, but now there's more to choose from. Your heals in the mid to late game are now also in concentration form. This means mages can't just throw off a guaranteed quick heal in the middle of combat, and it also means you can interrupt any healing enemies. Your wards are now also much more effective at blocking magic damage, but they no longer provide armor, making physical shields still necessary for paladin characters. Restoration in vanilla is mostly just a school for grabbing a few of the heal spells while relying on the other schools. But now you can play as a pure restoration mage, whether as a holy paladin, a devastating sun mage, or a deadly plaguebringer. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Odin does a fantastic job in fleshing out what's offered in vanilla. If you're returning to Skyrim after a long break, or by some miracle you're still yet to play Skyrim, Odin is one of the best ways to go. You won't get overwhelmed by the new additions since they feel like they've always belonged, and you still get to appreciate what Bethesda initially offered. As always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mod you enjoy, and be sure to support mod authors whenever possible. And thanks for watching.